excited. So you guys can do it. I hope you're working.
And then
yeah.
So,
It is. Yeah. I know. Well, this is your excuse. There you go. It's a fleeting moment. I would start shopping right now. Portland 1 is a fleeting moment.
all right.
So
You ready?
Yep.
Yeah.
So is everyone going to be? Do I shout?
You just, you know what? It'll be quiet in here. You won't have to shout.
All right, good.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. Thanks for being here today. This is our Sensei lunch, and this is our way of celebrating abundance in our community, sharing what we know, bringing industry veterans together to share our experiential learning, the things that you can't get in the classroom. And we're super, super excited. We have actually in your packet, in your folder, a list of some of our other upcoming educational opportunities. And one of them is the LARC class that you're having in September. So if you need that requirement under your belt this year, we're being able to host that for you. So look for those email invites as they come out. And today we have, well, before I introduce Suzanne, actually I'm going to have Brad talk about our property management really quick.
yeah, real quick. Hi, I'm Brad. I know most of you, but there's some new faces here. So some of you may or may not be aware that we have a full-service property management company here at Living Room. So if you have clients who are looking at buying investment property or want to rent out their house or anything like that, I'm happy to chat with them and talk to them about rental rates and some of the new regulations and things like that that impact being a landlord in Portland. So my card is at the front with Whitney there, so she can give you that on the way out. So if you have any questions, holler at me.
What was your name again?
Brad.
Quick question, hi Brad.
Hi.
So what's the story? Are you guys doing down Beaverton? What's sort of your?
We really are focusing kind of Portland City Center, venturing out a little bit, but we have a great referral list. So if you've got somebody who's outside of our realm, we'll make sure that we take care of it.
Super, thanks, Brad.
Brad's the only property manager I know that can evict someone and have that person send him flowers. So it's happened before. Having a great property manager is critical. And of course, if that property owner ever wants to sell their property, it goes back to whoever
Yeah,
sent
very
it.
respectful of client relationships. So
Yeah.
if you send us a client, they are not receiving living room marketing or anything like that. We make sure you're in the loop when it comes to them selling or buying something else or like that.
So today we have the fabulous Suzanne Clark joining us for lunch. And it was really cool when I called Suzanne to talk about coming here and sharing her experiences with us. She said, well, it's all about giving back, right? I'm in. That was her answer. She wasn't asking me a bunch of questions or how long it lasted or how much she would have to talk or anything. She just said, well, it's about giving back, so I don't know what it is, but I'm in. And I love that attitude. I'm like getting goosebumps thinking about it. That's what this whole thing is about, is sharing what we have. There's plenty of business to go around, and we can all be better at our job and raise our profession to the next level by sharing. But Suzanne got her license in 2006 and very quickly rose to the top of her game. And I don't know about you, but I'm super excited to hear how she done did that. So I'm going to hand it over to Suzanne, and she's going to tell us a little bit about her story. And then what we really want is this to be a forum where everyone's talking and participating. So I hope that you came armed with your questions to learn Suzanne's secrets, or maybe they're not secrets.
No secrets.
Suzanne.
Everything's right here. Well, thanks for asking me. I'm honoured, and thanks for coming for lunch. And hopefully I can leave you with some good information. Kristen asked me to just tell you a little bit about how I got here, and I'll try to summarise, and then maybe ask you guys if there's anything in particular. Can you hear me back there, down there? Can you hear me okay? If it's anything in particular you want me to talk about, I wasn't planning on talking about how to sell houses because I'm assuming that you guys already know that. But I came to the US in '95 as a nanny, and quickly after that got married, and then I have 3 children, divorced, and I've been in business for 10 years, always with Keller, and I think my first year I did 6 units. I can't even remember what the volume was. And then went up and up and up, and then down and down and down. And then in 2000 and I would say 12, I started to really get serious about building a team. And last year we did 45 million, maybe 80 units. I can't remember. I'm looking at my team. Half my team's here. They come to support. And so I'm really sort of focused on the team building aspect and not production these days. And it's a whole different job. I don't know about living room. Do you guys have teams, or are you more like single agents?
We have some teams. Probably not the team structure that you see at Keller Williams,
Okay.
but we definitely have teams, and I have a team.
Okay. All right. So what are some of the things that I can, you want to ask me that I can focus on today?
I would love to know, one of the comments that I hear from agents because sometimes they come to me when they're thinking about getting an assistant or a partner or what are the differences, is people are really worried about the hiring process. How do I know what'll be good? So what is your hiring process? What has been the learning curve for you? I assume that there was one, or did you have a past experience that guided your hiring process?
I mean, my background before I came into real estate, I think I skipped a few years. I worked for Pacific Power for 10 years, and I was a customer service agent, and then I became a supervisor. But I was young, and I had a team of, like 15 people, but there's supervision and there's leadership. And so, the leadership part is a never-ending learning opportunity. I've made many mistakes in hiring, and I continue to. It's like finding the right talented person. When you make that decision to leverage and get help, I know here you guys have an opportunity to piece off some of the transaction coordination and then the marketing. We don't have that at Keller Williams. So, if you imagine if you didn't have that, you're trying to support. I'm going to say, honestly, if you're doing more than about 12 million on your own, you're going to feel some pain, especially if you're running a family and life and trying to have a work-life balance. So the first thing that comes to your mind is, how am I going to pay for it? And you might be making $100,000 a year, but then you're like, well, that's going to cost me 50 for a good person, and all of a sudden you're like, you don't want to deal with that, so you keep going, and then you're like, well, I can't keep going, so you're going to just grab the first person that says they need help, and it might be another agent that isn't doing very well that wants to come in and support you. And in my case, the first person I hired, bless her, she was a client of mine and a previous client, and I hired her with another agent in my office. We weren't a team, but she was trying to start a team. We hired her part-time, on commission, working remotely. I mean, that doesn't work, So then it was like another one and another one, and then, until I decided to hire and pay properly on a salary, I didn't start to make any real progress. You really have to figure out who is the right fit for what position you're putting them in. You have to like them. They have to have, in my criteria is, passion, drive, commitment, but you can't force a square peg in a round hole. And for example, when we hire someone, we want them to do marketing, transaction coordination, social media, showing houses. That person that is really good at marketing isn't going to be good at transaction coordinating. I mean, most of you do it all. You know, you do your newsletters and you do your clients and you do some of your paperwork. But to find a really good marketing person, that's a different brain, and the transaction coordination is different. So I've learned from not trying to first hire the people that are going to be committed and driven, but they have to be able to like their job when they come to work every day. So one of my criteria is, do you love your job? If you don't love your job, let me know. I think I've got it down to where I can hire the right person for the right job, but some of the other mistakes that I made, and I don't mean to be negative, I'm just telling you the mistakes because that's how you grow, right? Is I've hired like some young people that have just got into the industry, and after a year they see those commission checks and they want to go do it on their own. And I have to let them go, you know, and so now with Stormy, who I recently hired, my criteria was they have to have been in the business, they have to have tried to sell before and realize they don't like it. And they have to like what they've been doing as far as, like, in this case, running the office, transaction coordination. I don't have her doing marketing because she told me she doesn't do that. So I think we're good now. Until she, you know, but then another challenge is when you're running a team, you have to treat them well, you have to motivate them. It's not just about money. You could pay someone $100,000 a year, but if you're not, you know, supportive and giving them opportunities and keeping your world big enough for them to want to be in it, they'll go. Then the other part of it is leading agents. They're a different breed. We're a different breed. And like with Laurel was, I would say, my first proper hire where I decided to pay someone a decent salary with, you know, full-time and no commission. And then, you know, over the time, she realized that sales is where, well, I realized, but she said, and I told her one day, I was like, she went on vacation for like 3 weeks. And I'm like, what is she doing? Because, you know, it was like, she came on as like the one-size-fits-all, and she was young and driven and then smart and just vested in my business. And then after a while, this transaction management piece, which requires a lot of tenacity and attention to detail and organization, she was making mistakes, she wasn't liking it. But she's brilliant. But she took my business, she helped me double my business that next year because of the ideas and the pushing me, and we need to get a buyer's agent, we need to do this, and I was like scared. So she brought all of that. So then we hired a transaction coordinator just to do the transaction stuff, and another marketing part-time. And then Laura went on vacation for 3 weeks, and I'm like, what exactly does she do? So when she came back, you always get in that mode when you're like, I'm spending too much money, and then you're like, okay, they're gone. And like, well, I had a transaction coordinator, I had a marketing coordinator. What does Laura actually do? I'm like, oh my God, I love her. And what do I say? And I remember that those difficult conversations. And so, you know, 3 years later, you know, she's doing, you know, a great agent. She's doing, you know, making more money than she ever has, and she's in sales. So I'm rambling. Just pull me back if I, you know.
That's a good journey because that is people's journey.
What was your background before you? I was in restaurant management. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and when you asked me the question about the recruiting process, Keller Williams is, you know, very specific, good about their training programs. There was one that they used to call Recruit Select, and they teach you don't just hire someone because you're desperate. You have to go through a rigorous interview process. And I went to this class, I paid my $250 or whatever it was, and I followed it. And with Laurel, I think I tell them about the interview. It was like 6 interviews, and meet the husbands, and, you know, come and meet the team leader, and just really making sure that you can dig through the layers of who this person is. You check their Facebook, make sure they're not posting inappropriate, you know, you never know who someone really is until you're making an investment, that time in hiring and training them. And then once you get someone, you have to make that time to give them feedback, to train them, to have a training program. I mean, I would say my training program is 60% okay. She's going, no, lower. get out. But yeah, it's been a wild ride, and it still is. I mean, I've been through agents. I've hired a few agents, and a couple of them quit, a couple of them I've fired. Again, I had an agent once who was just not meant to be an agent, and now she's back. I mean, she came from a Nike big ticket job, designing and opening stores around Europe, and do you guys know the disc profile?
Yeah.
She was like me, a really high D, wanted her own thing, and she came in, and instead of selling, she was in there trying to fix my processes. Now they weren't perfect, but it's like, no, you need to get out there and sell. So we ended up parting ways. You got to be strong to deal with a good agent. Like when you hire someone who's talented, they're going to push you and make you uncomfortable, and they're going to want to constantly grow. And sometimes I'm just like, oh, I don't want to go to work today. I just want to, but no, you have to be there for them. That's my job now, is to be there for them.
So how do you manage that when you say be there for them? So who's meeting the buyer? Who's meeting the seller? Who's taking the in call and qualifying and deciding to whom it's dispersed?
Well, I don't really get the calls anymore. I got out of production the end of last year. I had my last client. I might get a call in from a referral, and then I'll decide, based on, who their personality is, who might make a better fit. So I distribute it that way. We don't just have that whole model of buyer's agents, listing agents, showing agents. Jen and Laurel, they're just so driven and talented that they just didn't want to work with just buyers. And so I said, well, let's take some listings. Go ahead. And so they work with both buyers and sellers. And then we have Jana and Emily, who are at this training class today. But Jana just came on 2 years ago as a showing agent. Do you guys know what that is? Do you guys have that deal?
We don't have. Well, we do actually have a showing agent. We have a living room showing agent. So we can all share and schedule her. She has a.
And who pays her? How does she get paid?
We pay her. So if you go to her scheduling and you select, I want her 1 o'clock on Saturday, and then you put in where, then the agent is billed.
Like an hourly fee, or?
She has different rates for different things. Like you're going to hire her to be at inspections a certain rate. You're going to hire her to be a certain rate. It's 2 or 3 houses.
Okay.
Different rate.
We have a similar thing. It's like percentage based, but when we had Jana on board, we didn't know so to go back a little bit, when Laurel started join me, she was one pushing me you need to hire a buyer's agent. And Jen and I had been working together on a casual basis for a few months, and then we were we started to flip houses, her husband and her, and my husband at the time, and me. And I told her she should get a license because she could benefit in the commissions and whatnot. And so she did. And then where should she hang it? And I was like, well, just join the team, I guess, be an agent. And I had to sell Jen on why she should give me half her commission. And this whole team thing it was new to me. There's one thing having an assistant, but then what am I giving her for half her commission? And we went back and forth on that for a while. And part of that is what you get when someone's smart. They're going to question, not just going to go, okay. So we got through it, and it worked out. It's working out. And then Laurel was the one that's saying, get another buyer's agent. So we went through the buyer's agent things for a couple of years, and then it was like, Jen, what we all have, our focus is a work-life balance. Most of us have kids, and we want to be able to take care of the client, make good money, and be able to spend time with the family. And so Jen was getting burned out with the weekends and evenings, and so this whole showing agent thing had sort of popped up in the Keller world. So Jana, who Laurel had recruited from, knowing her from where she grew up, she joined Keller Williams as an admin for Keller Williams, but then she wanted to join the team. And Jen and I were like, what can we, we don't have anything for her, because the concept of the showing agent in the teams where we are, that the buyer's agent pays the showing agent. So if we got a $10,000 commission and Jen and I are splitting that 50-50, then Jen's got to give 30% to Jana. So on paper, it seems like, damn, I got left with nothing. But you do more units and you do less work, and then it just, it works out.
But I liked how what you said, instead of hiring, you're leveraging. I think that's really critical use of language for people to think about when they're talking about bringing somebody on, because that is a lot of folks when I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're doing that volume. Why don't you have some help? And it's always, almost always the fear of control.
Yep.
Oh, they need me, or how am I going to pay for it? And I love the way that you said that. I'm stealing it.
No
You're
problem.
leverage.
Yeah, leverage.
Leverage yourself to
Yeah.
do more of what you're best at. So now you're kind of managing the team, and your team is interfacing with your clients. So what is your marketing like? What's your main source of
Business.
Yeah.
It's referral. We're about 71% referral. And I know this because we did our dashboard. We're about 14% mortgage broker, 6% open house, and this is like based on the last year, and then just a couple sign calls and whatnot. We don't. It's hard. There's so many, especially when you're with someone like Keller Williams, where there's like international trainings and ideas and marketing, and you're like, what shall I pick? What shall I do? And this whole thing lately is like, have you guys heard of like an ISA or an OSA? It's like an outside sales agent or an inside sales agent. And for the people that, I'm assuming most of you guys are referrals, like cozy thing, right? Well, some of these big Keller Williams teams that are doing just gazillions of dollars, they have a lot of their business is what they call non-met. They don't focus on their clients. They're out there, they're spending $3 to $5 grand a month on Boomtown, all these internet leads coming in. They hire in call centers to make outbound calls to expireds, to sell by owners. And that's where they get a lot of their business. There's a tremendous burnout and no repeat referral, a limited amount of repeat referral business. So I jumped on the bandwagon recently and I hired someone after months of planning, like, should we do this, and I hired someone who I fired 2 days ago to make these calls. We've got like the dialers, the mojos, and we're still doing our thing, our bread and butter, our client parties and our touch program, but let's try to get an extra piece of business over here. And after 3 months, I'm into him 12 grand. I don't have no results. So, yeah. And so it's just, and part of it is also, to be fair to him, like I haven't had that business background in expired calling, so I can't sit there and tell you how to call an expired. I've never called one. I'm terrified. That's why I hired him. Well, we did try it once. We had one night, we had a party and drinks and tequilas, and I was like, let's have a mojo. We call it mojo. It's his dialer system. So we're like just getting shut down. I was like, let's just have more client parties.
Yeah.
Let's love on our people more. I know, right?
Yeah.
And the only thing we have that is I spend money on lead generation is I have a realtor.com zip code. It's paid for itself, But when the leads come in, we have like a separate email address that we tend to put on all of our marketing. So if there isn't a random person that doesn't know us, they'll come in that way. The agents.
So you're like familiar, not familiar. It's the first clue. If it's a referral or a non-referral.
Yeah, well, the referral will just make a call. So they'll call one of us, because they have their own sphere. And then over the years, we've built repeat clients that, we call them like their house leads. They started off in my world somehow, whether it was from a sign call or, you could probably look back on some of the things you did to get a client. I went to Salem once for like 200 grand, 150,000, you just stuff you do, right? Oh, so did you? Hello. Yes. But sometimes the challenge I have is that I don't want to spend a ton of money on this kind of leads because they're not like sitting there waiting for the inbox to come in. Like, we're not a big enough team or focused in a way where you got some ISA person sitting there put them on drip campaigns and stuff. So we've tried Craigslist. I mean, we've gotten a few things out of that, but the more we get established and the more repeat business you can get, and you just have to start asking more. I think I got a little bit complacent about asking for business. When I first went into the business, I was just like, hey, come on, bring it. And I think I get a little bit shy or can't be bothered, or I don't know. But we're not.
How do you ask for business? How are some of the ways?
It would be in a subtle way. I mean, we hate to come across salesy in any way. So it might be something like, hey, if you overhear a conversation, and I might be bold, I might say, sorry to interrupt, but I can help you with that. I picked someone up on a plane before at a restaurant, but that's when I had I was more tenacious with that piece. Nowadays, it might just be, hey, if you know anyone that's looking about buying or selling, we would really love to help them. Don't forget about us. But honestly, like, my energy is channeled into building the team, keeping them and building it. You can't do both. I mean, it was really hard for me when I was still the listing agent and trying to build the team. And then expanding to New York City, I was a mess. I'm getting divorced. I was all over the place. People dying. People get cancer. That's the real shit on our team. With deaths, I mean, so you work through stuff. We're like a family.
So you mentioned New York. What's New York?
I mean, it's not really anything yet, but I mean, it's going to be.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, there's again, Keller Williams, and I like. I mean, so there's a thing that Keller Williams is. Although I actually had the idea before this whole, they just called it an expansion systems operation, where they're teaching you. Because what you have here is a little franchise, right? Even if you're just Yonette Fine for now, and she just decides to make a little team here, and she makes it perfect. She could take those systems, her leadership skills, and her lead generation systems, and open the same setup in Salem or in Bend. And that's what a lot of these teams and I mean, brainwashed a little bit, right? I mean, we know that Keller Williams has a lot of Kool-Aid. We know that I just drink the part that I want, and I don't do all that other stuff. But they talk about expanding your business to another location. Well, me, instead of just picking Bend or Southern Oregon, which they teach you to do, I just decided to go all the way to New York. And that's a lot of personal reasons for me. Like, I like the city. I feel closer to home there. I travel there a lot. So I'm like, let me get my license. Took me 2 years to get it because I don't like to study for licenses and stuff like that. And I got an apartment there in Brooklyn, and I was Airbnb-ing it illegally, and it was covering my rent, and everything was great. And I was going to New York, but I wasn't really focused on what I should be doing, and didn't really have anyone to help me with that stuff. And then I got caught with the Airbnb thing, so I moved over to the city, up to Harlem, and my rent was a bit cheaper. And then I joined the office Manhattan office in Keller Williams, and I am looking, and have been looking for probably about a year, for what they call an expansion partner. But what I'm learning is, I know how to have someone join my team here as a buyer's agent. I can show them value. I can show them there's leads. I can show them there's systems. I can show them there's administrative support. There's leadership. There's opportunities. But when you're talking about expanding to New York, what can I really offer them? I don't know the market like that. I can't hire someone brand new because they need to be able to go out on these appointments, and I'm not going to lose them. If I get a $2 million listing appointment, which is the average sales price in Manhattan, and I've got a brand new agent, they're not going to get it. Now, I could get it. I'm a great listing agent, and I just say that because I know that if I went with that person, it doesn't matter where you live. Like, if you know how to talk to people and negotiate and close a deal, and you study that market, those condo buildings or whatever before you go, you can get the listing. But I can't just fly out there tomorrow if a listing appointment pops up. So now I'm looking for that person that doing probably about 3 to 5 million in business. They've been doing it for a few years. They're struggling. They don't know how to hire. They don't have any systems. They're running around ragged, which is what most agents are doing anyway, anywhere. I mean, here it seems like you've got a lot of like little niche support systems that a lot of brokerages don't have. Like Keller Williams, we don't have any of that. I mean, you're either like doing it all, or you're hiring someone, and you're figuring out how to hire and lead and train and sell and all that. So it's a painful period. So I need to find that person that is willing to give me half their commission. And I haven't
In
found that person
exchange
yet.
for systems.
There's systems, there's potentially some leads, but at the end of the day, because I don't have any of those like internet lead type generation systems, I don't have a big network there, so it's not something that that lead generation piece is missing. We do farms you guys know what farming is, right? We each have a farm in our neighborhoods where we live here, and I have one in Harlem where I live when I go to New York. But that's slow rolling, right? I mean, that you're going to get what, 1 in 1,000, yeah, and it takes a while.
About to shift gears, but I'm curious about the luxury market.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also curious about the certification. Like, what's that look like? What's that look like? What's that calculator or some other agency?
Yeah, so the certified luxury, there's a designation, a national designation. It's the Certified Homes Luxury Market. It's CHLM or something. Anyone in the US can take that. The Keller Williams has another layer, which is Keller Williams Luxury Homes, and then international. We have an international company, so we also have a global property specialist which is a non-Keller designation, but then Keller Williams has another layer. It's another way for them to make money, right? I mean, I pay $100 a month to belong to both of those, but we don't leverage it enough. So we spend a lot of our time managing the transactions that we have and keeping up with our marketing, with the little e-letters and the marketing events that we have, but there's a lot of stuff to dig into. My profile is probably not even updated on the Keller Williams system, but I will tell you that as a luxury agent, when you look for a referral, the first place I'm going to go is to the Keller Williams luxury site, and there's not very many agents in each location. Even in New York, there's only like 25 agents because they don't want to pay for it. But that's where I'll go first, and I've gotten referrals because people have gone to look for that very thing. So it's more of an internal opportunity. We've just started putting the logo on our business, on our collateral, our marketing collateral, and I think for New York it's definitely something that would be a more required, and because everything's pretty much luxury there. So I just have it in the background and
So the national designation is like through the National Association.
yeah, it is. It's a 2-day class.
I see how like through Keller it can make sense, but if you're with a local agency like us, what's your 2 cents on the national designation?
Well, I think it actually does teach you something about how to deal with rich people, right? And you can leverage it on your marketing locally. I mean, at the end of the day, they're going to want a good agent, and but the certification that you get, like people have that. What's that CRS? And there's so many designations you can get. But I mean, I want to pursue that market because obviously the average sales price is more. I mean, they're hard to deal with, the people, aren't they, Yonette? But
sometimes.
I think it's worth it. Yeah.
So what kind of marketing do you engage in for your past clients? And you mentioned parties, so how many parties do you have, and what kind of parties are there?
What do we have, like 3 a year? 3 or 4. We try to have maybe an educational event. So the things we've done in the past are we always have our annual holiday party, and we've done it anywhere. It started off at my house, and I was the bar. I mean, it was me doing everything, right? And then it grew from there. Then I think we had recently with various venues we've rented. Like one year there's a distillery down in the Central East Side area. just trying to find a venue where they're up and coming and they don't charge you very much for the space, but then you bring in a caterer and your your bartender, or in this case there was a bar on site. You had a minimum. Probably spend about it's probably more than that, 5,000 to 6,000 on the holiday party every year. My favourite one that we had was at the Pittock Mansion, and this is something that in order to have a party at the Pittock Mansion, you can merely become a platinum sponsor for the year for $1,500, and you get 20 free tickets to actually go, and you get to host an event there. So that drew a big crowd. That was great. So anyone who wants to ever do that was a big one.
That was an awesome party.
Yeah, and people were just like, how do they get in there? Who are these people? So it was like good.
It was an incredible party.
And then we've had there's a British double-decker bus in Portland called PDX buses, I don't know, something, and they go on various excursions. And last year we did one, and we took 30 of our best clients, our A clients, wine tasting through the valleys and Willamette valleys and stuff. So that was fun. And we always try to get one of our vendors to partner, like pay for stuff, right? So can you buy the lunch, Mr. Mortgage Broker, title company? I mean, they can't usually. Some of them do, but no names. Bring the somethings, So, and then what we didn't do a very good job last year, although we had our best year ever. We had a newsletter. We would send out like a monthly or bi-monthly newsletter that I used to make myself on my living room, dining room table, but that got too much. So then we started shifting to the e-newsletter. It's kind of like a constant contact type template. I have one for New York and one for Oregon and Washington, because we do Oregon and Washington, and it's similar. Like it's like a main message. Hey, how you doing? Some kind of industry-related article. I think this recent one was about the energy audit change that we're foreseeing, like sell your house now kind of thing, but not quite as obvious, not quite as aggressive. And then there's like market action and what's to do in Portland, what's to do in New York, and then it just goes out. And then we've started these cards that we send to our farms and our A clients, and they're close to about $1.75 a piece to drop, and they're made of a really thick cardboard, 5x5 size, and there's a quote on the front. I think the last one was, "Be the change you wish to see in the world," the Gandhi one, or "Be fearless of what sets your soul on, or pursuit of what sets your soul on fire." And it goes in the envelope, and on the back we have some sort of message that's offering something, and it goes in the envelope, and we pay someone to handwrite them and hand stamp them in like fancy envelopes, and off they go.
That's every other month?
Every 3 months.
Every 3 months.
But then we might throw in like a Happy New Year's card to we don't do Happy Christmas or any of that, because there's too many different Christmases for people, but that was politically incorrect, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Totally get it. Some kind of Happy New Year thing we'll do. Then we send them birthday cards, we call them, we go to coffees. Like right now we're in the middle of we used to do 30 dates in 30 days, but that became too much. So now we're doing 20 dates in 30 days. So every day, one of us is like, we were having a kind of lunch or coffee or happy hour with someone.
So is that like a monthly rotation? So every month you're like 20 dates?
Well, no, we should, but no. But we got together recently to, okay, we need to set up the lead generation. Let's get back to basics. Our business comes from referrals. Let's, there's, like you said, there's enough real estate for all of us. Who you know and I don't know them. Who likes you won't like me. And, it's just, there's plenty of people to serve and
so
take
what's
good care
your calling script?
No, we don't have scripts.
Or,
Scripts.
that was probably the wrong word.
Comfortable conversation?
Yes. You're going to call somebody, so if you're trying to have, I'm kind of an analytical person, so if you're going to have 20 dates in 30 days, how many calls do you think it takes to get 20 dates? And then are you because I call my people too, and I have all kinds of different reasons why I call. So I'm always curious what other people do, like what when you call, what value you're bringing to the call. Are you just calling to say, hey, drove past your, I like this one. I just drove past the house we sold 2 years ago. They planted a big old tree. It looks awesome. I thought of you.
That's good.
Sometimes it's
I've
just
never
like
heard of that one.
Yeah.
We struggle with reasons to call or just what to say because we don't want to appear like we're asking for anything. So what we just call is say, hey, it's time for a drink, time for a coffee, let's go. And so we just meet them. And these are the people that you would see on the street and hug. They're good people. So you don't even need to ask.
Right.
You don't have to ask for business when you get in front of them because they know, they just like you. They're your friends, your clients. They talk about the market, and then at the end we might just say, don't forget us, you know.
Of all the various marketing things that you do you think that's the most powerful? Is just
Yeah, I do. It's exhausting and it can be expensive too. You've got to pay, you got to go, and it's like non-stop meetings. But I mean that's what we're good at, right? I mean we're people. If we're selling real estate, we should be just talking, meeting.
One of the other things is the bold art. We used to do on our team our own bold. So Keller Williams has like this bold thing. It's a little bit over the top where you call like I never did it. What do you call like 100 people or something? But we did our bold 25. Anyway, so that's another thing that was really fun.
Yeah, we just make a day each month in the office to go through and call people. Perhaps not our sphere, but people. Do you guys know what Top Producer is? That CRM, or do you have your own one?
I'm familiar with it.
So it's just a sales pipeline and follow-up calls, and you can go back and say, well, this was a sign call 2 months ago. I sent them some listings, and maybe but because we get so busy, these kinds of people fall off for us, which is why it didn't make sense for us to continue with this guy calling these random people because, okay, you might get a nurture and someone that shows some, or maybe in 2 months, but they get too busy, they're not following up with them. So it just became a moot point. But when we do have that bold 25, we try to make 25 calls in that day each. I spend most of the time getting ready to make the calls, because I hate making calls. But I feel like you put energy out there when you lead generate, and maybe the people that you're calling aren't actually the ones that call you back or the ones that do business with you. But there's an energy of business energy that you put out there, and then the phone just starts to ring. I do believe that.
I totally agree with that. It's so weird that you say that because I find the same thing. Whereas if I'm putting that energy out into the world, it might not be the person I called, but
Someone else
does. It's really,
Yeah.
it sounds all woo-woo, but that's been my experience,
I feel like I have my best day at work when I've spent time with the team and when I've done some lead generation. That's my best day. I don't want to do an inspection reports anymore, or I don't even get excited about a listing contract. I get excited when we get the call and they get the listing and all that, and helping them go through their problems that they have with the deals. And so that's my job. Like, okay, well, ran across this, what should I do? So that, we get it closed.
So are you the team's principal broker then in that sense?
Yeah, not the firm, just for my team. Yeah. But I mean, we still have a reviewing broker that reviews everyone's files at Keller. So I don't do file review. Oh.
So you said that in 2012 you decided to really get serious. So what happened between 2006 and 2012? Obviously you started at a frenzied time, and then you went through a downturn in the market, and then we're kind of living through the market coming back up. What happened during that time that in 2012 made you decide to kind of change course or take new action?
Well, it wasn't the market. I never blame the market. It's us. The market is what it is. People are going to drop out because of the market, more for us. But it was, I had twin babies, when I first started. And so I missed, 2007 was my actual first year in production, and I wasn't in it when all the frenzy was going on. So I didn't have anything to undo or to missing anything. I just went straight forward. I'm trying to think what was I doing? I know my husband at the time, we were working together, and he was doing a little bit of transaction coordination. And then I don't know what happened, why we didn't have a very good year. He went back into his old job, and then I was. I think we just tried. I think we tried mailers. I think we tried a short sale mailer and got like a deal or two out of it. I can't. That's a good question. I don't know why I went and hired Laurel. Jimmy.
Of the 80, of whatever number of transactions you guys had last year, were there any clients that you personally didn't touch?
Oh, most of them.
Most of them.
Most of them. Yeah. What did I do last year? 6 million. Not. I mean, I'm looking at them like you bring them. I don't know.
It was 6 million.
Was it?
About 6 million.
Most of them.
So when Laurel takes a client, forgive me, this is a big question. Laurel takes a client soup to nuts, right, from start to finish.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you guys, when that client refers someone, they're typically calling Laurel. Is that how it works?
Well, like Mark and Marcel, right? I sold their house in maybe 2008 or 9, I can't remember. And then when they called in, I think they called the office, got stormy maybe, I don't know. They called into the office because my phone number is not out there anymore for people any marketing material or emails, there's a phone number that is directed to actually your phones normally. We have one number, we call it the lead number, the lead phone. And then between Laurel and Jana, they'll rotate that phone, they'll forward that number to their phone. But this particular call, he came in, Mark came into the transaction call, maybe it was Caleb at the time, I don't remember, and then they call me and they say, who should I give it to? And I just felt like, I think Jen, you was out of town. I would probably have given that to Jen because of the price point, but she was out of town, so I gave it to Laurel. Jana has not been listing in Oregon, just in Washington. So,
Did you ever have trepidation about client retention as you grew?
of course. Yeah, that's a good question. And when you talk about control, when you talk about hiring an assistant, you're like, my newsletter, my flyers. No, they can't touch those. I'm the best. Well, if you're best at that, you probably should just do that. That someone's better than you at that. You should be selling real estate. That's where you make your money. But if you get over that now, when you're hiring an agent on your team, you will lose clients because they're brand, especially in my case, Jen and Laurel were brand new. So when I'm at an open house, I remember our first open house. Sorry, Jen, I have to share this. We had this open house, and I had Jen and Nancy at the time, and I went with them to show them what to say and how it's done, And Jen went up to someone and she's like following him around, and she's like, "What is it you said?" Like, at the door, like they're trying to leave. She's like, "Okay," and she was just really being aggressive, and I said, "It's too much. Bring it back. Be cooler than that. They have to like you." So you go through all that, or then there's the sign calls. Like I used to take all the sign calls, and I was good at that. I was good at converting those calls. And then they're not going to be as good at that at first, and so it's like you lose leads. Your referrals, you have to have a way. In the beginning, I would go with them, and I would say, I'm going to show the house, because at the time we didn't have a showing agent. It was just me and Jen. And that was before Laurel, because Laurel wasn't doing sales at the time. And I would go with Jen, and I would say, well, I'm going to be out of town, or I'm kind of, just in case we're busy, we want to make sure there's always someone available for you. I want to introduce you to Jen because she may show you houses sometimes. And they see that as like, oh, there's 2 for 1 and there's always someone available. And then before you know it, they like Jen better than me. And so they're happy, they've forgotten about me. And then with Jana coming on as a showing, you've got now 3 layers of making sure, a showing agent has to be able to listen and report back to the buyer's agent. They have to be able to ask them to buy. They have to be able to say, why are we looking at this house? It doesn't have a garage. You said we had to have a garage. Please help me understand what's really going on here. They don't have the confidence to push back, and so they waste their time, and then you train them what to say, and then everyone... Right now, I would say we're solid, but we do have a newer showing agent that doesn't have experience, and so, you just... But you will spill. The same way you'll spill if you're on your own and you're too busy and you can't take that sign call. You wouldn't have had it anyway. You don't have time for it anyway, so you just have to... And none of you may be interested in getting out of production. This is the message I have to offer, I guess, because our team building at least. And a lot of agents still want to be the listing agent, and then they,
When you were on your own before a team, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So what was your best year before you bought a team, and was your work-life balance just too out of whack?
Yeah. I think that we did about 20 million. No, that's not true. That was about 10 million. 10 or 11, I'm trying to think. Do you remember? With Joe and I? That was the most. That's true, a lot of units. I think we had like 45 units. Yeah, it was horrible. I mean, going to Beaverton at 6 o'clock. I don't want to go to Beaverton anyway, ever, let alone on a 6 o'clock. So that's bad, sorry. Even now, Angela's like, I'm going to Hillsborough at 5 o'clock. I'm like, I'm sorry, just do this one. It's a repeat. I mean, we'll do anything for our repeat and our referrals. I mean, obviously. We believe that when someone hires us, we genuinely care about the clients, and we meet every week, and we're looking at process improvements, and we don't want any complaints and sale fails, and we genuinely care. So I'm not in a zone where I want to build this massive factory of teams, and like a lot of these big teams, there's like the turnover is huge on the teams, and I don't want that. I like what we have going on. As long as they're making their money that they want to make, and everyone's happy, like focusing on that, then it comes to me naturally, right?
I think that was part of the answer to my question. Is how do you get people working with you here as much as you do? And that's what everyone struggles with when they hire someone. As invested as you are, very important.
Well, I say for Jen and Laurel that without them, like they've been with me for over 5 years, and they helped me build this, so they're part of it. They're in it. When you bring in someone newer, they're not going to be as. I mean, it takes time. You have to prove yourself more, and they're going to have to like their job. And then when you have to, the last transaction coordinator we had before Stormy came on, great kid, but off on his own, want to sell real estate. So then you're like, I've got all this training again. And then, I have to make sure that the sales team is supported with administration and stuff, because they're giving me half their fee, Yes. So we have regular team building events that we come to. I mean, most of us is women. We've had the odd guy in the team, and it doesn't last because we're in our meetings. We're just, women. We just beat a dead horse over what shall we have our closing gift be. That went on for months. And what shall we do for our team event next week? Well, we finally came up with an idea. Okay, great. Where are we going for lunch? So there's like 2 hours to solve these things, but we have a good time, don't we, doing it? But yeah, we try to do something every month, and then we'll do like maybe an annual thing. Like this last year, we did an annual thing where it was a staycation where everyone's spouses came, and we went to eat dinner and had a hotel overnight downtown and then brunch the next day. I mean, it's not just about money. It really is about like showing the value. And when I have this weird energy that I think I bring to, they've told me that I bring to the team. And when I was expanding, when I still will, but when I was really going to New York last year, every other week I was in New York City for a week. And I don't think that what I learned about this expansion is that your hub, your home team has to be solid. They have to be just self-driven, and not that they're not, but it's like I had, Laurel going into taking listings for the first time. Now, who's there to really train her when Jen's only been doing it for 6 months? I had Yonette brand new, I had Kayla brand new, transitions of staff, and just because you have people there, it doesn't mean that you could just leave them. And so
You just have to bring that leadership.
yeah, and I learn every day how to be a better leader. I mean, just the other day I made someone on the team cry.
You?
I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to. They're not here, so that's okay. What would you say makes us the best team?
No pressure.
Well, what would you say?
Less to work on.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's all about your energy, right? That's why one of the reasons big reasons we're all here.
Well, and each other. They're like friends, and we don't have any drama. Everything's like, you got a problem, just say. I'm British, I don't know this passive aggressive. It's just, what's the problem? We don't gossip about each other, and we just support and we say the F word a lot at work. In fact, that's a requirement. Not a requirement. It's a disclosure that I make when I'm hiring someone to let them know that we say inappropriate things. We're a bunch of women, strong-willed women, and we say the F word because some people. I mean, if someone was to come and work for us or me specifically, that was really prudish and like, it don't matter how good at their job, they got to fit in our culture. We have this little culture that we've got going on, and our clients see it, and we see it. So that's my job, is just to keep that going.
Yeah,
And I love them.
authenticity.
She left us. You didn't want to give me half those $1.5 million deals anymore, did you, sister girl? Which makes sense, I understand. We had a good time.
I'd say about the team, it was I was very honored to even be asked, to join the team. And when I got on the team, I've owned a business for 25 years, and it is the little micro culture that you have going on where you are absolutely, are absolutely a family. And with Suzanne at the helm, and she always thought it was so awkward that I call her boss lady, because she's our leader, but she sees herself as someone who works for us, which I thought was just phenomenal. And so she comes at everything with that power and that energy. It's like, I'm here to support you. The other thing you didn't say is about the 4-1s instead of the 411s, where she sits with you all the time, weekly, and you quickly go over monthly, and you go over your personal goals. It's absolutely everything. So it's your business goals, it's your life goals, like, do you want more sex with your husband? Sorry, do you want to go on vacation? How much money do you want to do? And like, it was really not even about money, but
we don't go there.
I was joking about it. But it's like there's a lot that is unspoken about what she's doing on her team that we could all learn from. But really, it's not about the money. It's clients first, and then her team. I don't know. I guess it's going to be equal, but clients always first. And love of the team, love of the self, respect. Mm-hmm. She celebrates an incredible reputation. I could walk in anywhere as a newbie, and I had cred because I could say, I'm on Suzanne Clark's team, and they'd be like, oh, the British one?
You're so
British
nice.
one. So,
You're so nice.
Go on, but wonderful people. And Mr. Gaps.
Well, it's just after 1. Do we have any last question. One last. I actually have one. How do you? And then we'll wrap up because we want to honor your time. But if there's a client that comes in that isn't a fit, how do you all do that? Or does that even happen? Do you have enough personalities on your team that you can serve everyone's needs?
Have you ever fired anyone?
I feel like we have some people that aren't perfect fits for either of us, but, you know, part of being a good agency is adaptive to what you have, so.
I mean, there's certainly some that make you want to quit. I think she just had two. But yeah, we. No.
That's probably a benefit of being on a team too, is that you can shift.
We actually remember we had somebody that was working with me, and then Laurel helped them while I was on vacation, and then they liked her better. And so
Oh, who was that? Oh yes, I
when
remember
she decided
that.
to back out of buying the house 3 days before it closed, she worked with Laurel from her next. That worked out.
Laurel's
well.
like, thank you.
Sometimes they like Jim Arnell better than us, and we have to just let them go. I love you, Jim. No hard feelings. Live with abundance.
Living in abundance. Okay, well, thank you so
You're
much
welcome.
for joining
Thank
us
you for
today.
having
We
me.
really
Yes.
appreciate it.
You are part of the team. It's intangible.
Everyone I hire, I have to make sure is okay with my swearing as well.
Do you?
Oh yeah, I'm like, are you fucking okay with swearing?
Yes, totally.
Because you're gonna get it.
Yeah.
I swear in front of my kids.
Yeah, me too.
Because I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to be a pretend person in front of them and somebody else outside from them. I'm just going to be me.
I'm one of those
and-
bad moms. See that
I
show?
know. Yeah, not yet, but I can't wait to see
It's
it.
so good.
It is
I'm
really
one
good.
of them.
I'm a bad mom. Yeah.
Total bad
I'm
mom.
Amanda Hayward. So nice to meet you. Thank you. This was great and very timely. I'm like right on the precipice, and it was so interesting because I feel like I really clarified a lot of things on what I need because of things you said.
You ready to hire someone?
It's great. Yeah. Well, I have hired folks. I hired a past client. That's what you did in the beginning, and now I'm like, you know, you need to hire somebody to figure out what you need. And now I'm like, okay. Figuring it out. Like, actually, I need somebody who manages people, marketing, you know? And that was really poignant at what you said. It's like, don't try to hire one person for everything.
Right, don't just put, because they'll be unhappy.
Yeah.
There's a disc profile. Have them do a disc.
Yeah.
Know how to read that.
That's a good idea.
A certain